for the live recording. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Suhasini, and it's nice to be here. Very grateful to the organizers for having given me this chance to chat with all of you. And I have quite a few friends in the audience, so feels good. So today my session is about building thought leadership. It's slightly different from the sessions we've been hearing, some of them since the morning. But I will share with you my perspective. I've been involved with social and digital since about 2005, 2006. And personally, I have actually a lot more experience in the B2B space. But some of the stuff that we'll be looking at, we can actually see how it extends to B2C as well. Okay. One or two announcements, disclaimers. So anyway, telling you a bit about my current role, I am Chief of Marketing at GS Lab, which is an IT services company. And I must say this, GS Lab does not have any products or services in digital marketing. So I'm not here to plug any product or service. So what I'm telling you, I'm sharing just purely out of my just experience sharing. And I think that should help all of you to relax a little. And the second thing is that, which is also good news, is that all the initiatives which I suggest to you today are all organic. So there's no marketing budgets particularly required for them. It does require focus and time, but anyway, so going forward. So just work, it's just a matter of working smart. Yeah, it gives you the speaking engagements, you know, that what people are charging, the top speakers in the world, the most expensive speakers in the world. And the only reason I put this is because I wanted to show what we mean by this term thought leader. So thought leader, typically a person excels in one field. So Seth Godin is himself an entrepreneur and has been, you know, has started up multiple companies. So now is perceived as being an expert in that field. Then they write, they generally write well, they speak well. And then their kind of fame feeds, their fame and contribution, they feed each other, feed off each other. So obviously they command a premium. These are people who are thought leaders in different fields. They could be, it could be in business, entrepreneurship, management, project management, medicine, and so on. And the fabulous rates that they charge. And just wanted to say that, you know, I think sometimes why we use this word thought leader, and I'll give you my personal feeling about the meaning of it. We always had experts, we always had authorities, we always had people who are authorities on some subjects. But is an authority somebody who sits in a university or in a research organization and, you know, only a PhD can understand what he says? And he, you know, is that person an authority? I think a thought leader is somebody who engages more with the community and discusses and has a feeling of what the problems are and what possible solutions are, and also maybe a vision for the future. So I think that whereas we have experts, but if the expert doesn't speak the language that we understand, then we are not really engaged with them. So there could be somebody in some university and so on. But thought leaders are people whom we feel like reading, we feel like attending their sessions and so on. Okay. So this is just, you know, my ideas on thought leadership, and I just put these prices here. I'll also say at this stage that, you know, coming from those kind of rates, I haven't actually charged anything for today's session, because everybody knows that the best things in life, like love and so on, are free. Yeah. So, moving on. So whether B2B or B2C thought leadership matters. Okay. So in the B2B space, we call it consultative selling. There's a concept called consultative selling, because people like to buy from experts. Yeah. People like to buy from people who have credibility, reputation, trust. And how do you kind of voice that? You voice that by talking about concerns and problems which people face, people identify with. You build that by having solutions, offering solutions or suggesting solutions or discussing solutions. And maybe also having a vision for the future, that this is what we could do, we could adopt this technology. So that's what thought leadership is. Thought leadership is somebody who discusses things which concern people, who seem to know the solutions and pointers to how things could go. And in the B2B space, we try to strive for this, what we call consultative selling. First come in as a trusted consultant and then think about trying to make a sale. And in the B2C space as well, people try to build thought leadership, and there's that little question at the end. How many of you have received mails from Dr. Batra, and how many of them just love to open them? Simply, we don't love to open them because maybe they're too often, and maybe they're not giving us the feeling that maybe they're hard selling, basically, right? So hard selling doesn't work here. Okay, so moving on. Interesting thing about digital has actually led to democratization of content, what I call democratization of content. Because earlier, we had to submit things to reporters or to journalists or to editors. So there was editorial control. Okay, so what gets published in a Times of India or in a Sakal is subject to editorial control. And of course, then there is also paid media, where the publication just says, okay, if you want to be published, just pay. So there is either you have to prove to the journalist that your story is newsworthy, or you have to just pay. Okay, so that is a concept of media which is controlled. Now, this is a very interesting story, because in the 2015 list of this list, I always give credit, I always give attributes, I always attribute to sources. So this one is the Time magazine list of 30 most influential people on the internet, the latest list, March 2015. And this guy is number 1. And he is this, I don't know what, 20 something year old, I forget his age. But he's a gamer. His YouTube channel consists of him playing games and reviewing games. And you can see the numbers, 35 million subscribers, 8 billion views. So he's kind of changed the market, because he's given valuable exposure to a lot of indie game makers. And finally, he's also done other stuff, like because of that huge, army, what he calls bro army of, I guess, young men, mostly young men, who follow him. He's also been able to do other things like raise lots of money for charities. This is just a question of how you can become so powerful. Anybody can become so powerful. That's the concept of democratization of content. That what he posts on his YouTube channel is not subject to any editorial control. Okay, and that's the power of digital versus the conventional media. So just jumping out of the net of editorial control. You can go over them again if you don't mind. Okay, so now if we were just saying that that people like to buy from experts, people like to buy from people whom they believe have credibility, trust, reputation, and the digital media offers avenues to build that kind of credibility, trust, and reputation. And as opposed to normal media or conventional media, print media, and electronic, it is a more democratic medium, because people can actually self-publish, publish, and put something out there. That's, I think, about what we've discussed till now. So now let's look at the kind of channels and avenues that are open to us. So each channel, we'll discuss about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one has its own flavor. The audience behaves differently on each. How you are behaving, how you are thinking when you are on a Facebook page versus when you are anywhere else is different. And the marketer needs to tailor the interaction accordingly. And first build rapport, trust, and credibility, and offer value, and then the selling comes later. Okay, so let's look at the channels. So the first one is your own properties. So that's stuff that you publish, your blog, your website primarily. Now here you become responsible for the content as well as for driving traffic. And people who start blogs will know that starting is easy, sustaining is difficult. Writing something every week or every 2 weeks, making it of the right quality, making it engaging, being able to tell people that you have written something, motivating them to click and read it, and then finding a way to make your time worthwhile, either because your business grows as a result of that, or you're able to monetize that content in some way. So this becomes a challenge. So your own real estate, the first part where you can publish, or which you can use as a channel to build thought leadership, is a very challenging one, because of these reasons, that you are responsible for content creation and driving traffic. And we had this person in the morning, Lighthouse, right? What was the name? Lighthouse Impact, Insight, sorry. So you could see he was like, carrying the whole kind of burden of all these things that we're talking about, okay? But you might still want to consider it, because your website could be the place where you are also transacting business. So if you publish content on your website that people read and appreciate, then the chances of them to be able to put up inquiry is right there. So for that reason, you might want to consider it, because it's a property which is totally under your control, okay? We'll look at other channels. So now these are your social media channels, which are your Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and I'm sure there are many others that people are using. Now, so these are extremely powerful. Again, each one has its own flavor. A lot of people feel that Facebook is not appropriate for serious our kind of B2B products and so on. However, we do find Facebook very valuable. For example, in my company, we find it very valuable for employee engagement. We find it very valuable to announce things like an employee won an award, because he's going to share it there and his friends and family are going to see it. So it's valuable for recruitment and overall giving a feel-good factor to people about being involved with the company. It's very, very strong on employee engagement. So in our business, we find it valuable there. B2C, I see many products which seem to be now born on Facebook. So I now buy, I regularly buy certain brands which I don't know where I can buy them on the high street. I do not know whether I can find them on the high street, but I know that I can always find it on Facebook. And I do buy often, because it's so convenient. So so that's the so each one has its own flavor. LinkedIn is everyone uses LinkedIn here. How many of you use Facebook for business, for your business? Okay, 25-30%. Okay. And the others, Instagram, Pinterest and all that also work. Instagram works really well when your business has a strong visual component. So obviously, because it's about photos. So if you're a photographer, artist, interior designer, I mean, those are the ones that make sense. Just some numbers here. So Miss Malini is India's most famous celebrity blogger. Celebrity blogger is a term. Doesn't mean that the blogger is a celebrity. It means something different. It means that she blogs about celebrities. So people who cover celebrities, I really feel sorry for them, because 90% of them are standing at Bombay airport waiting for Aishwarya Rai to arrive from Cannes or something, which must be the most horrible job in the world. So that's what they do, they're really sad life that they lead. But Miss Malini doesn't lead that kind of sad life, because look at the numbers, She has her own blog. I couldn't find the numbers of the blog. I couldn't find any data about how many page views it gets every month. But these are the number of followers she has otherwise. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So that makes her India's most powerful, most famous, most popular blogger in the celebrity and Bollywood space. And so she is at red carpet events and I don't know where else, movie premieres and everywhere. And she's her stuff is fun stuff to read, It's fun to read a little bit. You just read a snippet here or there. So that's her whole personality and fabulous numbers. So obviously she's using multi-channels. So all the channels which are available are being used to create this one very large property, and definitely giving her a power. And on that, the earlier one which I showed you, the Swedish gamer, if you read the time list of 30 most influential people, there is a lady in the US whose model is similar to Miss Malini. And her business, how she's kind of taking that forward now, she's actually now licensing her name for products. So she's co-creating products with, Target or somebody else. So that's the kind of power that you have, as a thought leader, even in the B2C space. Now, online forums and communities are places where people of similar interest kind of are members. So the two that we know most are Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages. And again, very powerful place to find your audience. It could be exactly the audience that you're looking for. Very valuable to pick up the buzz. So listen before you speak. It's not necessary that you go there in broadcast mode, but you can pick up a lot of things over there. You can pick up people cribbing about a certain thing, a certain service, a product. You can pick up a pain point which is not being addressed. You can pick up concerns. You can pick up lots of stuff there. Hard selling is usually not appreciated on these groups. So if you have on Facebook a group for, say, runners, okay, a running group or a marathon group, then if I'm a doctor, I could say, hey, you know, I'm a doctor and all the runners out here, here are 10 ways you can increase your stamina, or here are 5 ways for you to improve your stamina. And people might actually be quite happy to see that. But if I say, you know, hey, runners, this is my clinic address and these are my timings, you know, they're not going to appreciate that. They're going to say, who just to kind of try and, you know, sell. So hard selling is usually not appreciated. Now, it could be very local. And these 2 examples I've given is to show that it could be very local, it could be very global. Local, Pune HR professionals, 1600 members. So if you have a product or service that requires you to talk to HR managers, here is a group with 1600 members. So that's your probably a pretty good, pretty targeted audience for you right there. Then there is a group on LinkedIn called Digital Marketing, which has 734,000 members. So that's pretty global. So if you, on the other hand, have a product or service which you want to go global with, you want international markets, you want large numbers, again, you have a group for that. So you have both the ends of the spectrum. You could go very global, you could go very local, and there are a lot of groups like that. And then there are content platforms. Content platforms offer you a platform because the content platform itself generates so much of traffic. So typically, presentations on SlideShare is a good idea because presentations on SlideShare showcase your expertise, help you to build that thought leadership. Again, now this thought leadership has to be built from all the sides. So it has to be, you know, your presence on a LinkedIn group, your SlideShare, everything has to kind of dovetail in. And YouTube, and today in the morning, what Mohit, right, from Jambe, he was talking about posting on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn posts is another good platform. So rather than having your own blog, he was talking about the advantage. These are again very powerful. They have good search features. They get seen lots, and you can put content out there. You can also create online events. So in our business, B2B business, we do webinars. Now webinar in B2B works out really well because first of all, what happens is when you announce a webinar, you announce generally a pain point. You don't announce that, hey, please attend my webinar because I want to sell you something, because obviously nobody will attend. So you say, hey, would you like to know how to reduce attrition in your company? Or would you like to know how to retain your 10% most talented employees? Or would you like to know how to find your next 5 big ticket customers or something like that? When you do that, first of all, because you have kind of announced that webinar, and then you do a mail blast and you also put it out on your social media channels and LinkedIn and so on, you first of all get associated with that subject. So people start knowing that you talk about that and you seem to have a solution for that. That's the first thing. You do a mail blast and you build awareness. So it's an awareness building thing. There'll always be some percentage of people who will sign up. So if you mail blast to 2,000, 3,000 people, you can expect, say, maybe 100 signups. When you get those 100 signups, then you know who those 100 people are who have that pain point. So they are going to be much more open to the idea of you talking about solutions. And then maybe 30 or 40 or 50 will show up on the day of the webinar, which is fine. But the 100 who don't show up, the remaining 60 who don't show up, you still get a chance to write to them and say, hey, we missed you, but here's a recorded version, okay? So hopefully some of this will convert to a lead and a sale. But the whole process is something which is not for large numbers. It's not for getting like lots and lots of clicks or impressions, but it's for building, it's for like a kind of a pre-selling activity, where you actually got a chance to engage with somebody before you try to start selling. Okay. So in my current role, content has to be written by colleagues in GS Lab. Getting them to write content is, getting teeth extracted is easier. So they all have expertise. They all have expertise. Some of them are more, their natural personality is more communicative, and some are not. Some will meet me in the lift for like 8-9 months and say, hey, I'm writing that blog post for you, I'm writing that blog post for you. And then will start avoiding me also after 9 months. So those are there as well. We don't have to do that much of research because they are subject matter experts. So the thing is that at GS Lab, for example, they were only writing technical blogs until last year. So now I told them to start writing stuff like, like, why did the Flipkart anniversary sale crash, write about scalability. And so I have to give them those kind of ideas. And that blog post hasn't happened yet, but that's a different thing. But anyway, so the thing is that so in my current role, we have subject matter experts, but I need to kind of tell them how to write stuff that general audiences can understand. And as an individual, if you are an entrepreneur, how much time would you read and research? So I would think that if you are at your desk, right, if you're an entrepreneur and you are at your desk, then you should be on social media anyway. You should be reading what people are saying on LinkedIn posts. You should be reading what people are saying on LinkedIn status updates, in groups, maybe on Facebook if that's suitable for your business. And that is also research. Being on Twitter is research. For me, at GS Lab, I spend, like, if I'm on my computer, I'm constantly toggling between Twitter. And for me, that is research because that really tells me what the buzz is. So you are researching all the time as long as you are at your desk or as long as you are maybe looking at a monitor. And everything is triggering something to you. Today, I suddenly find everybody on Twitter talking about something. That's research because that's telling me something. I may click and I may read it in detail, but even if I don't, it's something is going on. So it's hard to answer how much time you spend on research. I think you're doing that all the time. And then the updating and maintaining, ideally you should keep aside some time every day, to kind of like, because what happens when you keep a little bit of time every day, it could be a LinkedIn status update. Now, a LinkedIn status update is free of cost, but it goes on the timeline of all your business contacts. Typically, if a person accepts connection requests from people they know, they typically over the years reach somewhere around 700-800 contacts, I think. I accept connection requests from people I don't know. I took a decision some years ago to become an open networker. So now I have more than like 5,000 connections. So if I put out a LinkedIn status update, it's on 5,000 people's timeline. So it's like zero cost, brand building or whatever you call it. So I think that it's worth spending that 15 minutes to half an hour every day just thinking, what have I really got out to say that today I'm conducting a session? Have I let people know that I'm conducting a session? Have I put it on Facebook? Have I put it on LinkedIn? It's worth doing it. And today I just remembered to do that after I finished my presentation because there was some panic about my presentation. So I finished my presentation and before I shut down everything and I came here, I just quickly put it out there on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, because it's that much more that, after all, I'm also in the business of building thought leadership, and one day I'll reach that $250,000 a day kind of, or dollars an hour kind of. I think that I'll tell you what happens. First of all, you need to be very genuine, because if you are very genuine, then the chances of getting caught out are less. Okay, so for example, I could have talked here and somebody could have asked a question and proved that I don't know anything, and it's possible. But the thing is, I've actually been through a lot of this stuff. So if you ask me a question, I can say, hey, listen, this is how I did it and that's how I did it. And that was true about the earlier speakers we saw. I mean, we were here, Anvesha. So Anvesha has been through a lot of that stuff, So you have to ask her a question and you come to know that. So you have to be very genuine. And also you have to be open to people's comments and feedback. And sometimes people are going to say it was not good. One of you may come and meet me outside and say, hey, I had a lot of expectations from your session and it wasn't good. And I'm going to think about that. I'm going to say, okay, if it wasn't good, fine. Next time I really need to think about this and, ask you why you didn't find it good. So you have to be open to that. And the last thing is that you need to be discreet and courteous. Because in intense use of social media, which I have had for the last whatever 8 9 years, almost 10 years, I've only once had a situation where things were very abusive, and that was 2 months ago, because Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar is distantly related to me, although a very nice person and very friendly and so on with us. But anyway, he's actually not related to me. I mean, he's distantly related to me. So he went to Hanover, and he had a fabulous reception with Devendra Fadnavis and Narendra Modi. And then NDTV asked him, I think it was NDTV, they asked him about the foreign investors. And he said that since most foreign investors are Christians, the attacks on churches are going to spoil the investment climate. This is what he said, okay? Which is a completely non-controversial statement. Well, anyway, there is one block of people who were offended by this, okay? They looked for him on Twitter, they didn't find him. They looked for somebody else, they didn't find him. They didn't find the corporate account, they found me because of my name. And suddenly I had a dinner party at home. I had 150 really abusive tweets, all kinds of things, and and about my religion and about this and about that. So the only thing I wrote first is, he's not my husband. And then they went on. So after 2 or 3 times, I again wrote, he's not my husband, good night. So the thing is that I was completely a victim in that, and I was completely innocent because I had not set it off. If he had been on Twitter, he would have faced the same abuse, And now his belief, now he has a belief about this attacks on minorities, that's his belief. In a democracy, we are all okay for us to voice our beliefs, but he would have faced that kind of a thing. So I'm saying that sometimes those situations do arise. And when he came back from Germany, I asked him, are you doing any damage control? Are you doing any PR around this? And he said, it all blew over in one day. So we decided not to do anything. I said, fine. But the point is that sometimes you can become innocently a victim of something like that. But otherwise, I have really not had those situations. And the reason you don't have those situations is because I would not put something out there which is controversial, okay? I would not put something out there which is discourteous to anybody. I would try to think, is this likely to offend somebody? There's so much of offensive stuff out there. I don't know what it is about Indians. We are supposed to be, with the sanskar and all that, people, culture, and respect for elders and all that. But if you go to any YouTube video and read the comments, I mean, what is it? We are like so abusive, Indians. And if there's one Indian and one Pakistani commenting, it'll be just like out of control. It'll be worse than war. So as long as we avoid, and we can avoid a lot of unpleasant situations. Again, some are more communicative, some are less. So, one thing about them is that, them as in CEOs, okay, they often don't see the value. And they don't see the value because they're maybe not spending enough time out there. So you have to tell them, hey, listen, Anand Mahindra tweets every day. And there must be a reason why Anand Mahindra tweets every day. So they have to become a part of that buzz. They have to start realizing that, other leaders are doing it. If Cameron can get time to tweet, I'm not saying Obama because Obama doesn't do his own tweets, but anyway. So if this guy can make time to do it and that one can make time to do it, and your competitors are there and your customers are there, you need to be there. So, so I think some of them don't get it because they're not part of the buzz. Some of them are part of the buzz, so they're just great. So the first thing is to show them the value, and then take them through the steps, we done? Thanks so much, lovely to be here, thank you.